Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kelly Speaks Thursday edition. So, as you may have noticed, Kelly is out today, but have no fear. You know, the saying goes, the show must go on. My name is William Lindis, and I'm the Director of Operations here with Beyond Indigo Pets. And joining me today is Nick Rudow from our Search Engine Optimization team. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Thanks, Will. Thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, thanks for joining us. For those of you who are watching right now, you've noticed that from our Kelly Speaks series, we like to focus on a lot of different things. Sometimes we really like to dive into the veterinary industry news or digital marketing tips and things along those lines. But from time to time, we also like to shift our focus away to the things that make our team members tick. Nick, one of the things that you and I have talked quite a bit about here is about our shared love of movies. So, Nick, can you tell us a little bit about where your love for movies comes from?
Yeah, so I feel like my love of film really developed when I was 12 years old. And I remember going to Blockbuster back when that was still a thing. And
Oh, yeah.
I rented There We Blood, No Country for Old Men, and Michael Clayton. And I watched all three of those films in one night. And I remember just being blown away by all three of those films. And I feel like those films just helped develop my view of film, not just as a form of entertainment, but really just as an art form. And so I just became really interested in studying movies and the history of film. And I started going back to the classics, the Charlie Chaplin silent films, to the French New Wave with Jean-Luc Godard, and then getting into the kind of more 70s classics like The Godfather and Taxi Driver, all up to modern day. So that's really how it developed.
That's so exciting. And I think that there's something that's so formative and so interesting about the rental store as the sort of like nexus for movie fandom. I remember when I was a youngin, when I was a kid, we would go, my mother and we would go to the rental store over the weekend. And our big thing growing up nowadays, I watch all sorts of different films. I love all of them. But growing up, our shared area of focus was like 80s horror stuff, like, all of like the different slasher scary movies, and we would rent them and have like weekends where we would just watch a bunch of them, some good, many not, but they were still fun to watch together and have that shared experience. And it was always nice to go down to the rental store and walk through and look at all the cool cover art and pick them up and look behind them and see, like, try to find like the new discovery, the thing that maybe wasn't on your radar before but is now suddenly like your new favorite thing, at least for the next 48 hours.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
of course, it's really interesting right now because film is also a way for us to not just entertain ourselves, but it's also a way for us to connect with other movie fans, right? There's this huge fandom out there, not just for individual genres, but also for people that love keeping up with the politics of film or the awards races or the what's coming up next. Whatever your focus is, you as a movie fan have sort of your in. Are there any specific ways that you found that you like to engage with film fandom or with those film communities?
There are some great Facebook groups that I'm a part of. I'm a part of this A24 film group on Facebook that I like a lot. A24 is just this really groundbreaking film studio right now that's bringing in so many great filmmakers that are really changing the film industry in some really interesting ways. Those Letterbox. Letterbox is a service that I don't use enough, but it's definitely something that I try and use every once in a while. It's kind of like a film review social media platform. And I am on Twitter, and it's always interesting to kind of pop into the film Twitter discussions that are going on, which can be sometimes very divisive, and it's fun to follow those kind of conversations.
Oh, hashtag film Twitter is one of my favorite things and also one of my least favorite things at the exact same time, because you get so much passion and so much energy, but also you get some of that weird toxicity that can happen on Twitter, especially whenever like a new Star Wars movie comes out. Those are especially dangerous times to be on Twitter. But I really do like your suggestion about following very targeted groups, like you mentioned A24, which is a production house studio that is putting out just some absolutely amazing stuff. And for fans of those films, they can go there and talk very specifically about this film or that film. And Letterboxd, of course, being a lot of fun for people to rank and review and star rate and make lists and just do all of those things that I'm very much like an organizer type guy. Like that's the way I approach my hobbies. I keep spreadsheets for my spreadsheets, that sort of thing. And Letterboxd lets me sort of do that to sort of track what I watched and when I watched it. Can you tell us, Nick, a little bit about some of your favorite movie memories, like whether it be things that are fun experiences at the theater, just some of those moments that just make you look back and smile?
Yeah, one of the major kind of film going experiences that I had was being able to go to the Sundance Film Festival
Oh, wow.
back in 2014. And I was still at high school in this point. And I just somehow got a press pass. I applied, and it was just this miracle that I actually got in. And so there I am waiting in line in between these like film critics I've just been reading for several years. But one specific thing that happened at Sundance was that I got to go see The Witch,
Oh,
which is this
yeah.
24 horror film that I knew nothing about. And pretty much the only information I had was just the still images that they sent out to press members. And I remember going to the press screening of that. It was this sold out screening at like 9:30 at night. And I just remember the energy in that room was so exciting. And there was a lady next to me who like literally had a jump scare so intense that she like jumped out of her seat and just covered her eyes.
Oh,
It was just
no.
a great film experience to see that with an audience of film lovers. And yeah, it's one of my favorite movies, partly because of that experience.
Oh, I am insanely jealous of that opportunity that you had. I've done a few of the festivals here in Austin, Texas, where I'm from. Fantastic Fest, South by Southwest, and AGLIF, which I work a little bit on the screening team for. But Sundance has always been one of those like someday, one day things that I'll be able to get there and travel and do that whole experience. So I've got to ask, did you get a chance to see or meet any like notable stars while you were there, even if it was just like during Q&A or something like that?
I actually did. So I got kind of roped into going to the premiere, the red carpet premiere of Boyhood, which is
Oh,
this Richard Linklater epic, spanning 12 years. And so I got this invitation just sent to my email to go to the red carpet premiere. But I didn't even have a ticket to the movie. Um, and so I ended up going there and I'm just walking around and I ended up on the red carpet line and seeing, Ethan Hawke there and Patricia Arquette. And I'm just in between these huge cameras, people from the Hollywood Reporter and the Associated Press. And here I am with just a little camcorder, just trying to record anything I could, my little camera phone. And I actually got to interview Ethan Hawke.
oh, wow.
And pretty much everyone just had one question. And so I asked him kind of how his character in this film connected to his character in the Before trilogy, which is from the same director. And Ethan Hawke gave this really eloquent, beautiful answer. And I was just such in like shock with this whole moment that I don't even remember like his whole answer. But it was an amazing experience and just so surreal.
That's such a delight. Like, I think that anyone who considers themselves a film fan, which is a lot of people, from some degree or another, film is such an important part of the tapestry of our lives and our entertainment. Being able to attend one of these in-person festivals or something along those lines, it really gives you a different outlook on everything. There was one that I attended here in Austin where I would get there every day because, in addition to being like crazy anal retentive about like my organization, I'm kind of the same way about like timeliness. Got to be there early. Got to be there early. So I get to the theater way too early every morning, and I just have to stand outside. And uh, also an Austin resident is Elijah Wood, who's a big part of the local Austin festival experience. So every morning I would just be outside having my breakfast tacos and my coffee, standing like 2 feet away from Elijah Wood, just every morning, to the point where at the end of it you just kind of go like, okay, there's Elijah again. You know, it's like the starstruckness goes away after a moment. um, you know, it's interesting because everything's really different right now for us, because before, the movies were an important part of our lives and to some degree, to our identities. And, you know, it's sort of like an escape for us. You'd go to the movies once or twice or however many times a week to catch whatever new things were out. But now it's 2020. We're all under shelter in place to some degree or another. A lot of theaters aren't even open. And the ones that are, there's still some questions like, is it safe to go back? Is it not? What should I do? And so it's changed the way that we interact with this hobby and this passion of ours. How have you been holding up through all of this? And what have you done to sort of continue to scratch that itch while we've been under shelter in place?
It's been really interesting because I used to go to my local art house theater every weekend. Friday night, go see like the new foreign film at the multiplex. And it's, so hard to do that now. My local art house is actually open right now, but I don't want to go with everything going on right now. So I've really been turning to streaming services. I'm a big horror movie fan. So Shudder, I think, is a really great service right now. They're putting out just real quality content. I love their original documentaries just about the history of horror cinema. And also the Criterion channel, for us art house movie fans, I think it's just like cinephile heaven. Getting to see films from all around the world, from all kinds of different eras. And it's just very highly curated. If there's a movie on the Criterion channel that I haven't seen, I'll just watch it because it's a service that I trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love that. The Criterion collection has been releasing some really great box sets lately. I've been using my quarantine time to discover some new filmmakers. Recently, I discovered the filmmaker Agnes Varda, who is a filmmaker from the French New Wave. And the Criterion Collection just released this really beautiful box set of all of her films. And that's been really fun to dive into.
Oh my gosh. Like, we could probably do a show just on Varda. Like, she's wonderful. But I do want to ask, this is the sort of like the me put you on the spot question. This is always the hard one. Can you tell me, what are your favorite movies? Like, what's at the top of the mountain for you?
For me, recently I kind of did a top 10 list on my Facebook saying my favorite films of all time. And I do this every year, and it seems to change every year, but my number one always stays the same, and that is Spirited Away, a Hayao Miyazaki animated film from 2001 that I just grew up watching. And for me, that movie just represents everything that I love about movies. It's got these fantastical elements, it's got the heart, it's got the excitement. It's just such a delight from start to finish.
Oh, that's such a wonderful one. I think whenever I end up doing because I guess it's part of movie fandom, is like, you make lists. You just do. It's just what we do. And inevitably the question comes up, what are your favorite Miyazaki films, Studio Ghibli films, those types of things? And yeah, I'm right there with you. Spirited Away always hits the top of the list. It's just so dang good. Even on a rewatch, there's just so many things that you find and discover about it. So I'm very, very, very supportive of your choice.
Definitely.
This has been a lot of fun, Nick. Like, literally, we could run this channel, like we could run this stream for another 2 hours, and I don't think that we would run out of things to talk about. That's just, how exciting movies are for me and for you. And I'm really glad that we had this opportunity to share a little bit of that with everyone. Of course, as we look to wrap up, I do want to thank, first of all, you, Nick, for joining us today. And I want to thank everyone who's watching this. I also want to ask, if you're watching this, give us a follow, Beyond Indigo Pets, on Facebook and on YouTube. Just to keep up with each episode of the Kelly Speak video series. And you can also visit our website at beyondindigopets.com to find out more about how we can help enhance your digital marketing and bring new tales through your door. Thank you so much, and bye for now.